Welcome to the listeners of TALRadio English. This is Akshay, your host. We are going to discuss a very important topic today. Congenital heart diseases is the most frequently occurring congenital disorder, responsible for 28% of the overall congenital birth defects. About 1.35 million babies are born with CSDs each year globally. With rapid advances in the diagnosis and treatment of CSDs, most children born with CSD in high income countries reach adulthood. However, this is not the case for children born in low and middle income countries. As such, advanced care is unavailable for all children. The estimated number of children born with CSD every year in India is approximately 240,000, posing a tremendous challenge for families, society, and the healthcare system. To help these little hearts, the Heart to Heart Foundation provides free pediatric cardiac surgeries, working under the leadership of veteran cricketer Sunil Gavaskar, sir. Today, we have with us Mr. Vivek Gour, who is one of the trustees of the Heart to Heart Foundation. Mr. Vivek is an independent director with more than 15 years of experience as a board member for large operating companies in India, United States, Middle East, and across diverse industries, including e-commerce, IT-enabled services, and aviation. He graduated from Harvard Business School's OPM program. Let's learn more about Heart to Heart Foundation, its work, its impact, and the lives saved so far. Mr. Vivek, welcome to the show. We are pleased to have you with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Sure. As we begin, Vivek, how and when was the foundation started?
So the Heart to Heart Foundation in its current form was started in February 2019 by Sunil Gavaskar, Dr. Praveen Kolipara, Arvind Tyagarajan, and myself. Sunil Gavaskar is the chairman, and the remainder three of us are the trustees. And we wanted to raise money in the United States and do it quickly. Arvind had his own trust at that time in the US already doing work called Psi Global Mission. And in the US, there's a system where you can have an organization with a certain name, but doing business as another name. And that's part of their legal system. So we used Psi Global Mission as the foundation to launch the Heart to Heart program. So that's the background to the organization.
And how does the foundation defines its mission and vision to achieve?
So we are primarily focused, though I wouldn't say exclusively focused, on raising money to provide totally free surgeries for children in India, but also with time in other countries who are suffering from child heart disease. And most of these children effectively are condemned to an early death. In fact, according to certain studies by All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, heart disease in children is becoming the single largest cause of infant mortality. Single largest cause of infant mortality in India, who cannot afford a surgery costing several lakhs of rupees. It is a very pitiable sight that you try and save your child over 2-3 years, and the child eventually dies at the age of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So we are primarily focused on that, and we want to make a dent and bring solace to these parents and the children. The important part, if I may just continue for a minute, some people have asked us, why don't you fund heart surgeries for adults? That is also a very laudable cause. But a heart surgery in an adult is giving that person a further useful life of 10, 15, or 20 years. A heart surgery in a 2-year-old child or a 6-month-old child is giving that human being a useful life of 80 years and giving him or her an opportunity to become a constructive citizen of the country, the world. And that is where our focus is.
Thank you. That's a very, very important aspect that you brought out over here. And the reason why you're focusing the child congenital heart diseases and all. And it is also very heartening to see the legendary Sunil Gavaskar sir becoming involved with the organization. How and when all this started, and how did it all begin with Mr. Sunil Gavaskar sir?
All of us came together in February 2019 to take this up as a mission. And Sunil ji is a part of our team as a working member, a very hard working member, and not in his capacity as a celebrity. Though I will admit we selfishly use his drawing power as a celebrity to raise funds and organize meetings with high net worth individuals or large corporates in order to be able to raise money for this cause. All of us, in one way or the other, knew each other earlier, of course, at a personal level. And all of us are devotees of Sri Sathya Sai Baba. That was also a common link between us, where we said we need to continue his work in humanitarian areas, even though he passed away from the bodily form 10 years ago. And that's the background.
Yeah, there is always a connection somewhere, right? All the right people get connected for a good cause to come together, and you never know when that will come through. So it's all by hand operating on it. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one more person who was very instrumental, and he's not, officially a part of Heart to Heart, but he's emotionally very much a part of our team, and that is Dr. C. Srinivas. Dr. C. Srinivas was the person who sort of put forth this idea to all of us that, look, we need a foundation in the United States to raise money for our hospitals in India. The Sri Sathya Sai Sanjeevani Hospital, which is the logo of this shirt I'm wearing. I'm a full-time volunteer trustee with that organization too. And it's credit to him that he brought us together to set this up. Of course, we were overjoyed to it. There was no question of hemming and hawing. And Srinivas runs the Sai Sanjeevani hospitals, along with a large team of doctors and nurses and technicians. So that's the background.
And as part of the overall execution of mission, right? It's not an easy path to take. You must have certainly faced a lot of challenges, obstacles. What were those challenges, and how have been those addressed as part of the overall journey?
Raising money for charitable purposes is always a challenge, because other than the fact that you appeal to the human in the other person and appeal to his or her heart, there is also the factor of establishing your credibility, that the money he or she is giving you is actually going to be used for the purpose you claim it is going to be used for, and is not going to be withered away into this or that, or used up for admin expenses or get used for something else altogether. So there is always this trust factor which has to be overcome. There is the need to reach out to an adequate number of people, institutions, and companies so that we raise the monies we need to be able to raise. So far, all the money we've been raising is being used for surgeries of children being operated at the Sai Sanjeevani hospitals. The reason for that is that Sai Sanjeevani hospitals provides the surgeries and all associated medical costs and follow-up treatment totally free of cost. And we like that. We don't want to be with hospitals that are on a part pay basis, or what they call payable as able. So the poor person is asked to pay as much as he or she can cough up, and the hospital donates the rest of the money. We don't like that model. The reason being that it causes the impoverished parents, desperate to save their child's life, it forces them to become even more impoverished than they already are. So we have faced many challenges of establishing the program, reaching out to people, but with God's grace, it has all worked out well. And I think this is only the start of the journey. There's a very, very long journey ahead of us, which we have to accomplish. I'll just share some numbers which I got from our accountant this morning. We have raised 24.68 crore rupees so far since 2019 till today. That translated to 1,645 child heart surgeries, which have been done and delivered. And I expect this number is only going to keep growing very rapidly as the years go by.
That's a very huge number. And in fact, that's exactly where I wanted to check with you in terms of like the surgeries and the children that have been
So,
supported as part of the overall effort.
yeah.
Thank you for bringing that point over here. Now, as we talked about, you did bring out a very important factor, which is the collaboration with the Sai Sanjeevani Hospital.
Hmm.
When did this collaboration begin? Did it begin with the actual seeding of the idea itself, or was it a part of the journey that you were able to collaborate with the Sai Sanjeevani Hospital? And how is the journey so far with the hospital?
So we started funding the Sai Sanjeevani hospitals from 2019 itself. Dr. Srinivas is the founder of those hospitals. So there was already a connection and a trust. And a year later, in June 2020, I joined the hospitals as a trustee to have a leg in both organizations. It helps with compliance, it helps with governance, it helps with monitoring. And Sunil ji has also, I cannot remember exactly when, but sometime during this time, these 3-4 years, he has also joined the hospital as a trustee. And I cannot recall now whether he joined first or I joined first. It is now, a few years ago, but we are both now trustees in both Heart to Heart as well as Sai Sanjeevani, and that has worked out extremely well for us because Dr. Srinivas has now got a full-time volunteer trustee in the form of me to help him with his work of setting up new hospitals. And that work is extremely large. And Heart to Heart Foundation is one of the sources of funding for the hospital. Of course, they have many other sources of funding because their work is on a very large scale. So I'll just share the numbers that the Sai Sanjeevani Hospital delivers on. They do about 450 child heart surgeries per month around the year, which translates to approximately 5,000 surgeries per year. And they have, of course, also been growing since they started in 2012, step by step. And they have delivered, I think by the end of this month, they would have crossed 24,000 child heart surgeries in the 10 years of their operations. So, of which 1,645 have been funded by the Heart to Heart Foundation. Just to give you the numbers, they have a wait list on any given day of the year of about 1,500 children who have been diagnosed, who have gone through all their diagnostic tests, and have been given a date to come for the surgery. And this number never goes down because there are approximately 200 or 300 children who pour into these hospitals each day of the year, including Sundays, looking for treatment and looking for hope to save the life of their child.
That's a huge impact that is being made. And how long is generally a wait time for any child looking for such surgery? It goes into months or it goes into a year or
So,
something of that
yeah,
sort?
that's a great question. So I would put them in two categories. One are emergency situations. Then, regardless of anything, the child is treated immediately. We have even had situations where children reached us with their parents from villages with only hours to live, not even days. And we have wheeled them into the surgery theater after doing the initial diagnostics ASAP. But the average wait time is in the order of 2 to 3 months. As I said, we do about 450 surgeries a month. We have 1,500 on the waiting list. So that translates to about 90 days of wait. Of course, we work out. There are some children who can probably wait 6 months because of the condition, and there are others who can't wait more than 2 weeks. So the doctors take their call depending on the condition of the child. But I'd say an average is 3 months.
It's a very, very prominent requirement of the society and children in need. Uh, Collaborating and working with Sai Samjeevani is certainly a very major boost to your efforts, mission, and vision. Are you also looking forward to extend this collaboration, or are you already working with several hospitals, not just in India, but also other countries?
We will work with other hospitals in probably starting with African countries, but we've already done it for Fiji and Sri Lanka, which are also totally free. We don't want to deal with hospitals that follow a payable as able model. So there is a small hospital in Nigeria run by a Christian father. I won't be able to pronounce the name of the hospital. It's outside Lagos. And he provides treatment totally free of cost. We have funded some children over there whenever he asks for it. There's a hospital in northern Sri Lanka, also set up by some philanthropic-minded people. And we have funded operations there too. And similarly for Fiji, a famous Fijian singer called Sumik Tappu set up a child heart hospital in his country in Suva, and we funded some operations there also. Those we fund as they ask for it, and we might increase our reach to hospitals in Africa. I think that will be the primary aim.
It's wonderful to see the global reach as well, and most importantly, the reach in countries where the requirements are, because there are several other countries which are also still requiring similar surgeries to be done for the children over there. And it's heartening to see that you are extending your support everywhere, all across. And one of the things is that in addition to the child heart surgery, so what other activities does the Heart to Heart Foundation engage in, Vivek?
So heart to heart specifically, which you should view as a subdivision of Sai Global Mission, focuses only on heart to heart work for child heart surgeries. And we'll stay focused on this one single area and hope to make a dent over the years. Sai Global Mission, however, the sort of the other side of the coin of the foundation, they raise money for education of children in rural India, for healthcare of other areas also. And that is an activity that Arvind Tyagaraja, my fellow trustee, and his very, very capable wife, Dr. Shelly Gupta, they handle that on a day-to-day basis, quite independently. I won't have details off the tip of my fingers on all the good work that they have done, primarily in education.
Another important thing is that how do you collaborate with doctors?
The Sai Sanjeevani hospitals whom we fund, plus these hospitals in Nigeria, Sri Lanka, Fiji, they employ the doctors. And those doctors are their full-time employees. So we don't have to collaborate with the doctors on a case-by-case basis. The hospitals say that, look, we require funding for 200 surgeries this month or this quarter. And we go out and raise the money and provide it to them. And they provide us with a list of the patients who were funded through that particular initiative.
As we progress with our conversation, I see that Heart to Heart Foundation has embarked on this remarkable initiative of building the first free medical college in India, and
Yes.
as well as sponsoring rural students' medical education. How is
Yes.
this program spearheading? Where did the thought come into play? And any information or any insights for our listeners would be wonderful for them to have an awareness about.
Yeah, this I can talk of because I'm peripherally involved with it. All the heavy lifting has been done by Arvind and Sunil ji, not by me. So I will just, put that
Sure.
out
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So today, if you want to study to be a doctor in India, you either have to be capable of getting into a government medical college where the fees are a little lower, or you must join a private medical college, many of which are very good, but have a fully commercial fees. Now, it takes 6 to 7 to 8 years to fully train to be a doctor, and families spend 10 or 15 million rupees during the course of that time funding the education of that child. So when that doctor starts work, he or she, whether he likes it or not, has to find a way to recoup that money, which was invested in his or her education to become a doctor. This then becomes a vicious circle where doctors must work at a full throttle commercial model for 5, 6, or 7 years to be able to recover the investment their families made to make them a doctor in the first place. It's a very sad situation. I believe it is the result of our government not building adequate government funded medical colleges, even though it's a crying need of the hour in our country, which is soon to become the most populous country in the world, according to World Bank statistics. The Shri Sathya Sai organization decided that they will build a free medical college, world class, large, free medical college, where not only the treatment of patients who come to that college will be free, but the students studying there will also get education for free, so that it opens the doors to bright children from economically backward families or economically deprived families to be able to get a full world-class medical education of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it takes, and therefore start their medical career infused with the ethos that medicine is a service to humanity and not a business. This medical college is coming up in a place called Mudanhalli, north of Bangalore, about an hour's drive from Bangalore. And Arvind and his team and Sunil ji were charged with the job of raising about $16 million equivalent to fund the construction of the college, the equipment that goes into it, and all the other costs associated with setting up this college. And I believe they have raised $11 million in the course of the last 12 to 18 months, all of it from the United States. A very, very remarkable number to raise, $11 million. And the college is under construction right now. I visited it just a few days ago to sort of have a look at what was happening. And it should be ready for commissioning sometime in the next 2 or 3 months. And of course, the balance $5 million is also being raised. So that is the background. This is the first free medical college in India. We believe, but data is hard to come by, that it's the first free medical college in Asia too. About Europe and North America, I do not know. So that's the background, and the building's almost ready. It's the medical equipment which has to come in, and the staff have to be, the recruitment of the staff is going on. So I think the first batch will start when the Indian academic year starts now in the middle of 2023.
Absolutely. That's a very big boost for the medical education and kids who are looking forward for help to get their medical degrees in place, who have the will, the energy, and the mindset, but they lack funding. So this will be a great step forward for them. And what are the other future expansion plans of Heart to Heart Foundation? We would be delighted to hear more about it.
The Sai Sanjeevani hospitals, we have set up 4 child heart hospitals and 4 mother and child hospitals in semi-rural, semi-urban parts of India, all over the country. And we are determined to set up 1 new hospital each year. And these are all totally free. Any person who walks in, even if he or she is the son of a multimillionaire, we will treat the person free of cost. So Heart to Heart Foundation will play a role in raising funds for the medical equipment that will get installed in many of these hospitals. Just the way it has raised an enormous amount of money for medical equipment and building construction costs for the medical college. Over the next 15 years, we expect to build 15 hospitals, 1 each year. Some may be child heart hospitals, some may be mother and child. Heart to Heart will have a huge role to play there in raising funds for the equipment, other than continuing to support child heart surgery.
And how can anyone who is willing to get involved in the causes that you are supporting, what are the ways and means that they could get associated with the causes that you are taking forward?
I would encourage them to first visit our hospitals, any one of them in India, to first see what work we do. And not just the work, but the compassion with which it is done and the dignity with which the economically deprived patients are treated with. Because before I ask someone, please donate money, I would say, come and see our work first. First, get convinced and feel this is something you would like to participate in. Donations can be made to Heart Foundation in the United States or to the Sai Sanjeevani hospital directly in India with all the appropriate tax benefits that go with such donations in both countries. We encourage people, especially those who have supported 1 surgery, 2 surgery, 3 surgeries, to meet the children over video. It's not always possible for them to meet physically because the two may be in very different geographical locations. But we organize what we call a gift of life ceremony, 20 minutes over the video, where they meet the child and the parents. The child is usually too small to speak, but the parents share their journey, their thoughts, the travails they went through, the hopes they had. And of course, it becomes an occasion for both sides to get to know each other. That would be the best way for you to, for people desirous of supporting us to participate. We are well on our way. We probably already are, I don't know, the largest child heart care organization in the world. And we are totally free on top of that, which is quite remarkable. Even if I'm saying so myself, and we welcome people to participate in, funding whatever number of surgeries they are capable of or desire. Each surgery costs 150,000 rupees or approximately $2,000. We have kept these fixed numbers, and it is the average cost of a surgery over the 24,000 we have done in 10 years. While the actual surgery may cost between 80,000 rupees to 800,000 rupees, but the average comes to 150,000.
Right. One last question. You have been so very patient with us, but it's like a wonderful time spent over here. Like,
My pleasure.
would you be, yeah, would you be able to share some of your personal experiences with Heart to Heart Foundation? Were you personally involved with any of the surgeries that were being done? Were there kind of some stories that you would want to share with us, the ones that came forward, of the people who have come forward to help some of the kids who were actually looking forward for help in time and in need? Anything that you could share which can basically spread kindness with our listeners to be able to come forward and step forward to be get associated with such causes go forward?
So I'll put that down in one sentence. The child goes through the heart operation, but it is those of us who work or donate or contribute who go through the heart transformation. The spiritual surgery is happening in our hearts. All, not just people like me who are volunteers and working full time, but everybody who donates and contributes. And I'm very happy to say that most people who donate once donate every year. There have been very few who drop out, except for maybe some reason. Some of them do drop out, but most don't. So it is heart operation for the child and heart transformation for ourselves. Certainly, it has been a very transformative journey for me. Like maybe many of your listeners, I have been a business person all my life, for the first 35 years of my working life at least, till I decided to take this up as a full-time occupation in 2018. Just before Heart to Heart got founded, I had started getting involved with child heart surgery. It's a spiritual journey of transformation of the insights of us as we see what suffering others go through, and how fortunate we are as individuals to have a good home, good health, enough money, food to eat, freedom to travel. The parents who come are usually very, very young people. It's their first child or second child or whatever. So they're in their 20s. We've also had many situations where the family has abandoned the mother and the child because she produced a child with a defective heart. This we see very often. It's like a curse in the bottom 50% segment of Indian society. We probably deal with one such case every day of an abandoned mother. And we have also had happy situations where after the child has been operated upon and is alive and kicking, the family then comes back and welcomes the mother and the child back. And these mothers are very young, 20, 21, 22. I look at them and I say, the mother herself is a child almost. So all of these things, I think the most important is to transform our own hearts. While we are here on Mother Earth and while we are enjoying this life that God has given us to sort of progress on our own karmic journey.
Absolutely. So very touching. I think the word that you just talked about, heart transformation, no doubt the children are going through their operations or the surgeries. But what is the need of the hour is the transformation of the hearts for people to come forward and be a part of this whole enormous effort. Thank you very much, Vivek, for joining us. It's great to see such a huge effort from the foundation, Heart to Heart Foundation, including yourself, other team members, and as well as the involvement from the legendary Sunil Gavaskar sir. We
Yes.
give a big shout out to your overall team. I know there are a lot of people working behind the wheel. We
Yes.
give a big shout out to them. I don't think
Thank
it's
you. Thank you so much.
whatever we do, right? It's so very limited to acknowledge the efforts that you're all putting in. Thank you very much.
Thank
We are
you so
honored to
much.
have you today on the show.
Thank you, Akshay. It's been a pleasure talking to you.